Welcome everyone to stage 2. I'm going to do what they often say when I hear comedians talking, say, let's break it down. So I'm going to break it down in terms of what the talk is today. In real simple terms, I'm going to use a metaphor. Imagine right now that all of you have decided you want to drive to California. That's it, you're going to drive to California. So the first thing you do is you imagine getting to California. Imagine driving to California. You get gas. And that's great. And you look at the speedometer or the gauges, and it says you've got approximately 297 miles or 540 miles with my little Fiat and Judas MKX. She had 297 miles on that tank of gas. Now I want you to notice something. You're going to drive 3,000 miles, and your gas gauge says you can drive 287 miles if you take the small car, and you won't be able to hear anything because there's too much road noise. Or it'll be 580 miles if you take the big car. Anyway, you understand. You're not going to get there. It's not possible. So the best thing to do is to say, you know, I think it's a bad idea. I think we should just stay home. Because I checked out, and not only that, let's just look down the road. Go out the windows. I don't even see I-95. I don't see any highways. I see our driveway, I see our car. I don't see any great distance. I can't see where I want to go. I can't see how I'm going to get there. And I already know I don't have enough gas. Now, how many of you in your life have said, yeah, sure, I'd like to be successful, but you know, I don't see the road. I checked my intellectual gas tank, it's about half full. I looked at my past experience, I'm about 3/4 empty. And I got a lot of memory of a lot of bumpy roads. I don't think it's a good idea to go out. You know, it's Monday morning. We just need to go back to work and keep things kind of nice. You can't get to California on a tank of gas, and you can't leave for California unless you're willing to get on the road knowing you don't have enough gas. Spirit says get on the road, and I know you don't think you have enough gas. Not in your tank as we know your tank to be filled. But, and here's the amazing thing, and this has happened to you. You're driving along on the interstate, and you look down and it says you've got about 62 more miles you can go. And the foot comes back a little bit, and you think, whoa. And at that point, you actually have created now, and nobody else knows about this, a stop within the next 20 miles where you can get gas. And you would say, if you didn't know any, but that's a miracle. I looked down at my tank, it said 62 miles, and 27 miles later, I found a gas station. Isn't that a miracle? And someone would say, no, not actually, they're about every 60 miles. In fact, they had been there all along. They were there long before you decided to take your trip, and they were there for you to use whenever you wanted it. How many of you are afraid to dream because you're not afraid there'll be a gas station to fill up on when you get to the point where you look like you're going to be on empty? That's a really important piece. So when you pull into the gas station, it's, whoa, not only that, but you can get some chocolate and some donuts and things you should never eat because you're on a trip, and it's okay. Because you all know that there's no calories on a diet. On the road, rather. Yeah. There's no diet on the road. Yeah. So you stock up with candy bars and sodas and sandwiches and junk food and gasoline for your car and think, damn, California looks really good to me. And you start singing songs, you know. In fact, Judith was talking about songs that came to her. I got an original song too. Came to me just like Judith. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity. My song, yeah, I wrote it. Yeah, we get each other's songs sometimes, we get each other's music sometimes, we get each other's gas stations sometimes, but you see, they already all exist. They're there for you. All you gotta do is say yes. When you get on the road to go 3,000 miles, there are 5,000 gas stations waiting to give you gas. There's at least 25,000 fast food places that'll be fairly slow when you stop. But you will be able to get food. You will find places along the road that you would have gone 1,000 miles to discover that have nothing to do with the journey. How many of you on the way to an important place have met an important person that was more important than the place you were going to? And how many of you have learned a lesson from that that was so great that you can't wait for the next trip, not necessarily to get to your destination, but to meet whoever you're going to meet? To have happen for whatever gas station is going to fill you up. So in this universe of everything already existing exactly the way it needs to exist for you to be able to access, all you have to do is say yes and keep your eyes open. Look around. And when you keep your eyes open and look around, there is more gas stations than you even want. In fact, you can go so far as to say, no, that one doesn't look quite right to me. And you pass it. And there's another one, I think I can get gas 2 cents a gallon cheaper if I wait one more stop. And you do. And you pull in and you say, I saved 47 cents. I spent $8 on a Coke that I can't possibly drink. But I got ice. Yeah, wow. See, this incredible journey you're taking is already mapped out for you. All you have to do is to type in the God coordinates. That's the God positioning system. You position yourself with prayer wherever you want to go. You designate, I want to go to California. God says, okay, get in the car. The car, really, just like that? Just get in the car. I'll show you. Yeah, you see, God, here's the deal. I want to go to California. I know you're with me, but I don't trust you. Can you give me a little bit of advance? You know, can you show me that you're there? No. I can't show you the gas in the gas tank. I can only tell you that when you get on in here empty, there'll be a gas station. And if there isn't, somebody will tow you or bring you gas, and it'll be amazing. When our not-so-able Ford Sable broke down in Utah, and we got out of the car and looked around, and there were fields. There were lots of fields. Oh, there were so many fields. There was nothing but fields. And a car that was not so able to run. And we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything except a car that was broken on the way to California in Utah. Wow. And the story ended, we died, and it was over. Somebody with a pickup truck drove by, slowed down, stopped, and said, we'll take you, and put us in the truck and took us to get help and brought back and fed us and took care of us. And who would have guessed they were Mormons? You know, those people. Yeah, like us. They go to a different church, they have the same consciousness, they belong to the same system, they have the same God, and they happen to have a truck with enough room for the two of us to ride along. And it was extraordinary. And to this day, I don't remember exactly what was wrong with the car, but I remember the faces of the people that gave us a ride. I remember the family, and I remember how genuine and how caring they were. We have to trust this thing called God, because we have to know the road is paved all the way to wherever you want to go. And that doesn't mean there won't be obstacles. 1971, I drew my first picture. I was camping with my wife, different wife. Actually, it was an internship, I've told you that before. 17-year internship. You learn, you know. It wasn't really a marriage, I know that. My wife told me that. This is not a marriage, I said, I get it. I drew my first picture, and I said, honey, I called her that. I said, what do you think? She said, well, you're not an artist. Okay. She said, what do you think? And I said, I'm an artist. She said, okay, you can be an artist if you want to be, but I don't see it. And I said, I know you're not looking deep enough, but I see it. And I began drawing. And I continued to draw. And I drew so much, and I drew for so many hours, I actually learned how to draw. And then I took my drawings to a gallery, a fine gallery, the finest gallery in the city, and I said, I'd like to show my work in your gallery. And the curator of the gallery said, are you famous? I said, no. And he said, why don't you come on back when you're famous? And I said, well, so how do I get that gas station had no gas? He said, I don't know, I guess that I wasn't going to get there. And I'd already been told I was on the wrong road, and I was told I was never going to reach my destination, and why didn't I just get used to the idea and do something reasonable and practical and give up this idea of drawing? I thought about it. But because I'm an artist, and I'm courageous, and I don't take no for an answer, I went to a print shop. I said, I'd like to have some cards printed up. What would you like on them? I said, Robert Luckin, famous artist. And I took my cards to a gallery across the street from the best gallery in the city. And I gave him the card, and I said, I'd like to show here. He said, are you for real? I said, pretty much. Tell me more about pretty much. You give me a show, and famous will be something you're going to discover that exists in me and in my work. He said, well, I think you're crazy, but I'd like to see what happens. So he gave me a show. 2 years later, I bought the gallery across the street. And the curator doesn't work there anymore. But I told him he could have some cards printed up. You see, you declare it. You see it. You see California. You see it. You see yourself having an extraordinary show. You say it. I'm a famous artist. And then you walk in the distance of it. You sense it with your heart. You feel it with your body. You feel it with your legs and down to your toes. It couldn't be any other way. And interestingly, that's what happened. So I entered in a museum competition. There were 5,000 entries in this museum competition. They were going to accept 100 pieces. So I didn't work on getting my piece accepted. I just imagined what it felt like sitting in the hall, the museum hall, auditorium, and having them call my name, not because I got in the show, but because I got a prize. And I imagine getting out of my seat, walking up to the stage and saying, thank you, I really appreciate that. This is the first prize I've gotten to recognize the work that I've done. And I did that every day for a couple of minutes, and I let it go, and that was pretty much it. And the day of the big grand opening, and the auditorium was open, and they had everything ready, and I sat where I normally sat, and they called my name, and I got the award. So did I create that because I saw it? Did I create it because I said it? Did I create it because I moved in the direction? Yes, and I did my homework. I created a lot of artwork. And I created artwork that people wanted to see enough that they would give me a prize for it. So why I'm saying that is listening to you picking on your guitar, I'm thinking, I've never heard that lick. I've heard that one. That's original. That's interesting. You see, he wasn't playing just the particular chords he was playing for now. He was playing his history. He was playing his story. He was playing his life. But it only showed up for a couple minutes. And in those couple of minutes, you had a chance to decide what you were going to listen to in that. If you listened to the vocalist, you got a chance to hear history. You got a chance to hear consciousness. You got a chance to hear the story of a soul who's willing to get up, stand in front of a microphone and sing from the heart and from spirit, and possibly have it not go so well. But take that chance. He took that chance today because he's taken that chance before. He's taken that chance enough times before that he's willing to take the risk to have it be real for all of us. So if you're going to be on this trip to California, which is just a metaphor, you got to stop worrying about the gas. Now take along a MasterCard. You take your MasterCard, you get credit. You pull into the gas station, you got any money? No. How are you going to pay for the, I got MasterCard. You plug in your MasterCard. Whoa, what's your limit? I don't know, you see, when I was a Baptist, I had a real low limit. And I had to give more than I got on a regular basis because I was going to go to hell anyway. When I joined Unity, I found out my credit limit was raised considerably. When I joined Science of Mind, same thing happened. I learned more about how the finances worked. I began to understand more the principles that were at work in this bank called consciousness. Now, I want to give you one more slice of this thing, because one of the things that happens when we're creative and we're looking to be original is we do something that's pretty good, and then we get scared because we're not sure we can do it again. We're not sure we're good enough. We're not sure that all the accolades that we get are accolades we deserve, and if we're not careful, we sabotage ourselves. So here's the deal. You are never working alone. The victories you have are because you said, yes, we're willing to steer in the direction that you said you wanted to go, and allow the road and the gas stations to show up, that you could be filled up with the creativity and the divine expression that will make it happen. You're not doing this alone. Now, a long time ago, back in Greek and Roman times, if you were creative, those who were with you would say, you're working with those forces. You're working with the divine, aren't you? They didn't call it the divine, but they were saying spirits, entities, beings, doing something. And they kind of knew when you struck it rich creatively that you had touched into a union of heart and mind and spirit. It wasn't until the Renaissance when man began to own all of it himself. No, I wrote every word of that myself, exactly every word. That's all mine, yeah. Which is good until you don't have any more words. And then you start thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do now? You see, for me, I get 4 or 5 words, and then 4 or 5 words are given to me. And then I get to play with all of them. And then the words play with me. And by the time I get done playing, I've got something that when I look at it, I think, wow, that is really amazing. And it really is. Because by myself, I couldn't possibly do it. And I don't have to. And so people say, well, that was a great post you did on Facebook. Oh, that was so profound. I think, yeah, you're right, it was. A little ego, and no, it really, because I tapped into that consciousness that all of us have access to equally if we are determined enough to stay on that page and head in that direction. The great test is not having a great idea. The great test is having a great idea and then doing everything you need to do in favor of the idea, even when it looks like there's not going to be a gas station for the next 200 miles. And being willing when you run out of gas to say yes to being towed and not have it be a failure. We're doing this thing called life together. Everything we need already exists exactly as it needs to exist for this perfect world to operate in this perfect way to express itself through us. I think it's a party, and you've all been invited. It's time to, if I could sing it, I would, to be on the road again. Thank you.
Thank you.